Hello everyone, today I will be doing a rundown on why all of the Hissuian Pokemon adapted in the ways they did. And it's basically like a different species of crocodile, like saltwater crocodile, freshwater crocodile, live in different places, and why they do. Similarly, I'm going to be giving reasons why these Pokemon are not like their other counterparts. So let's get started with Hissuian Typhlosion. Now, unlike Jotonian Typhlosion, this form has the added ghost typing, and it is said to eat souls and purify them, which is definitely something that would come from Hisui because a lot of Pokemon die in Hisui. Now, I also think it got its ghost typing because, as you can see, there's a lot of water in Hisui. And what's the biggest threat in water? Basculegion. So, if this Pokemon ended up in a do or die situation against this Pokemon, I think it would fare quite well. And compared to its other counterpart, it would fare very, very well, as you can see. The next Pokemon I will discuss is Hissuian Samurott, which is really well suited for this region. Now, why is it a dark type and not just water type? I think that also may have to do with our apex predator, Basculegion. Suppose a Samurott and its Oshawott are by the shores, and suddenly a Basculegion comes and threatens the pair. Without its dark typing, it would not be able to have control over the water environment, and it would be very liable to this Pokemon, which is really, really big and could definitely eat an Oshawott. So I think this adaptation has to do with other Pokemon, just like my theory with Hissuian Typhlosion. Next is our good friend Hisuian Decidueye, which is grass fighting. I think the grass fighting type would be really good in the Hisui region because just being a grass type wouldn't really cut it. There are many bug types in this region, and therefore it would be way more suited to also have the fighting type. Why is it not ghost type? Well, being a ghost type would make it liable to both Basculegion, Typhlosion, and a lot of other ghost type Pokemon. So, by being a fighting type, it's not too liable to it, but it can't hit it either, which makes a really good balance there. Next is Basculegion. Basculegion is suited for any fight, but it's quite hard to get to this point. When other Basculin die, they transform into a mighty Basculegion, and that's where it gets its name from. It's a legion of Basculin, which makes it so strong. Why does this not exist in other regions? They're not dying while they go upstream. Like, Basculin are quite liable to bird Pokemon like Rufflet just swooping down and preying on them. So that's probably why we've got these kind of Pokemon existing in Hisui, but nowhere else. Next is Hisuian Liligant, the flower Pokemon, and this Pokemon is quite different to normal Liligant, being a fighting grass type rather than just a grass type. Why would it need the fighting type and not just be base grass? Well, that might be because in its habitat there's not too many flying type Pokemon to be disturbing it, and also in the Hisui region there are other bigger threats which it can solve by gaining the fighting type. So, just like the others, the fighting type can help it fight in the Hisui region, yet in other regions like Unova, it is simply not necessary for it to have a secondary typing, and it is perfectly fine with just the base type. Next, we've got Braviary. Now, this Braviary is different to normal Braviary, as it has a different typing, which is Psychic Flying. This might just be helping it to fly around the region. It's definitely more suited for the harsh winters of Hisui, which is probably the reason why it lives in Hisui. Now, the other type of Braviary doesn't really have too many winters to be faring through, unless yet again we're talking about new Pokemon Snap, which is why this one is differently developed and has both heightened special and normal attack. Here's our other competitor in the Icelands, Hissuian Avalugg. Now, unlike normal Avalugg, this one has Rock Ice, which is really good because it can deal with the flying types, like this one for example. Also, in its environment, most of the Pokemon nearby are just plain ice types, which means it can use its rock abilities without having the drawbacks of facing too many fighting type Pokemon, because the nearest fighting type Pokemon is quite far away from its habitat. It can also use its snow shovels to shovel out the snow, which is clearly more abundant in Hisui. As normal Avalugg just looks like a floating ice sheet, rather than this Avalugg, which seems to be more suited to being on land. Next we have Sneezeler. Unlike Weavile, this Pokemon lives at higher altitudes and would need its climbing abilities a lot more. Also, since it fights solo, it would be a bit taller, a bit bigger, and maybe a little bit more intimidating. Its fighting type can help it fight ice types, and its type resembles that of Toxicroak. And its fighting prowess and its typing, being able to stun prey and beat it up, definitely helps in it being a solo Pokemon. So rather than fighting in groups like Weavile, this one's solo, which is why it would need different abilities like these. Next is our depressed friend, Hissuin Gudra. Now, unlike our normal Gudra, this one isn't a bundle of joy, but what it is incredibly defensive. The shell that the other one doesn't seem to have, but seems to have traces of, is clearly evident in this one. So honestly, this one more like seems an original form of this, and the other form is just one which didn't need the shell, but has the remnants of the shell, being its tail. And it definitely needs the protection, especially where you can find these things. Next is our friend Weirdit, who we ride along with. This Pokemon doesn't really seem to be any use anymore, because Stantler's almost completely safe, with not too many enemies. So, just because of the environment becoming so friendly, I think this Pokemon saw no need to tap into these other potentials, and later forgot the move that it knows here in Hisui, which is why we only see Stantlers in other regions. As for Ursaluna requires a peat block to evolve at a full moon, which is already really specific, but you also can't find peat blocks in other places, and its environment is perfect to find peat just naturally by digging around. So it makes sense that this Pokemon was able to harness its ground abilities in Hisui, but it didn't have the right environment to gain them in other lands. Next is the malicious yet incredibly popular Pokemon, Zoroark. Hissuian Zoroark, to be precise. Now, this Pokemon has a normal ghost type, rather than its other typing in Unova. Why is it like this? Probably so that it has less enemies in the Hisui region, which is already really hard to live in, but now it's naturally immune to so many Pokemon in its habitat that would make it an apex predator in the cold, harsh lands of the Alabaster Icelands, which makes it incredibly suited for where it lives. Even though sometimes I feel like it's way too reckless with its move choices, I don't think it like that. Here we have Overquill, which has way more natural enemies than Quillfish, so therefore needs this typing to deal with not only Basculin, but just about every other sea Pokemon, which makes it really well protected and really well on the offensive side too. Hisuian Electrode is like this simply because Pokeballs were made of wood, not electrical Pokeballs made out of metal, which is why they're grass electric rather than what they are in other games. So this is one that was from human influence. And here's a strange one, Hissuian Arcanine. Now, despite living in the Cobalt coastlands, it is incredibly weak to water, which makes it look like it's more suited for land-based activity, which is why it has this typing, and also needs a bit less speed than modern Arcanine. So guys, those are my explanations for why each of the Hissuian Pokemon are adapted to be the way they are. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!